Right, that should be made live. Let me just check YouTube. Hopefully we don't get a feedback loop. Let's see. YouTube, hopefully we don't get a feedback loop. Oh, speakers are still muted. Let's see. YouTube, hopefully we don't get a feedback loop. Yep, I can hear it. Okay, let me just do another thing. Live stream. Live now. Right. I'll swap screens. This can go on this screen. So keep an eye on the chat. So usually when I'm streaming, this screen you can see my mouse on here is where I monitor the stream and the chat and things. I have Discord and play the game on my laptop screen, and this is my external screen. So this is swapped around for this because it's more useful to have the larger screen for development. So what we need to do, I was going to start off by working on the power lines. I think having those down the side of the roads would be cool. So the first thing I noticed is you'll see all those, it's that magenta. I am colorblind, so not the best one to ask about it. But the old magenta, and that's simply because I'm using the universal render pipeline, and these are designed for the built-in render pipeline. So I'll just see. There may be a way to automatically convert these, but it doesn't look like it is, so I might have to extract materials manually. Can we do that? No. So what we have to do is go here, and there's usually a way. Select material. Where's the material? Oh, materials here. Models, materials. Okay. Let's make these. Go edit, rendering, materials, convert to URP. Proceed. Okay. So let's take a look at just each of the prefabs. So we've got bare pole 1. Looks okay, but it's a bit bare. Bare pole 2. I kind of want wooden poles. These look a bit metallic. I think what we need to do, if we go to models, materials, the actual pole. Let's have a look. I think it's way too smooth. Power poles aren't shiny like that. Let's bring the... No, wrong material. Okay, what's the material? T-pole, right. Let's just bring that smoothness down, because you don't get perfectly smooth power poles, do you? Hello, Rainbow Dust Stuff. Thank you for joining. I'm trying to decide which power poles to put in the game. This one looks okay. I know there are some better ones in here. Let's just have a look. Bare pole 3. Nah, not very Great Plainsy enough. Not that. That actually reminds me of, that's a power pole. Which one is this? Is it the Wichita Falls tornado? This one. Yeah.
Hey everybody, Trey.
Highly recommend his videos. If you haven't already, subscribe to Convective Chronicles. Just look at this image here, you can see those sorts of power poles. I think there's a train line there, so it might be used for signaling or for the telegraph or something like that. Don't know. Do they still use telegraphs in 65? That's probably still a bit late for the telegraph. Yeah, just reminded me of that there. Anyway, back to the thing. That's closer. Got ground wire. Power box 1. I just having some power boxes. Okay, here we go. Here's some which are actually populated. Yeah, I think utility pole 7. That's looking the best one to me. So what we're going to have to do is create our own little prefab. So what I'll do, let's go to scenes. And then I've got one just called like terrain operations. I just use this for when I just need to place stuff around to just experiment with things. Okay. Right, let's just place that. So let's see. Why is the terrain not getting lit? Never mind. So where was it? It was assets, utility pole, prefabs. Then I think we're looking at utility pole 7, weren't we? So yeah, let's just drag that into here. Oh, there we go. That's lit up the terrain properly now. Okay. Right, now what we need to do is adjust some of the materials because, yeah, you don't get glossy wood like that. Pole material, right. So let's just bring that smoothness down. Some base map. Let's see what quality is this. Let's see. Does it have a 4K resolution? No, it's just a 2K resolution. Okay. Here we go. Some noise generation to deform the terrain for hills and whatnot. I do have a plan to do that eventually. So wherever you're driving around, you'll be flat, but kind of at some distance, it'll start to just randomly deform the terrain, just to add some very slight variation to it, just so it's not perfectly flat. I do have a plan for that. I think it's on the Trello board. I guess the problem with, since I've combined so many materials, I can't set it. The material. I got capacitor. Yeah, so I think what we'll do, we'll unpack this prefab. So I think what we'll have to actually do is, you can see where I was experimenting with some of the other prefabs before. Then what you do is just create a row of them stretching 500 meters, and that can be our starting point. So I might need to do a little bit of maths here to get it correct. So what actually is a typical, this can be a good question for ChatGPT. What is the typical spacing for wooden power lines in the Great Plains? Okay, so ChatGPT is thinking, I think I had a question there. Oh, hello Neon. Hello Real Smurf. You can have wall clouds. I can, but not tonight. What I'm focusing on today is getting the what do you call it? Getting more objects placed in the game. So working on power poles right now. Hello, Gamer Bubs. Yeah, what would be difficult is to deform the road around the terrain. Just because those are kind of static meshes, so I can't easily change those. So I could deform all the terrain where the road isn't, but if I select the road here, it's just a mesh. Yeah, it's got a mesh collider. Here we go. So it's literally just that. It's like 3D model, just a mesh. So I'd have to be changing meshes in real time, which is just going to lag the game. Right, so let me see. Did ChatGPT actually answer my question? On the Great Plains, the wooden power lines you see along roads, usually overhead distribution lines. Okay, I don't need the entire history of them. So between 75 and 90 meters. So we just need something. Right, just kind of being lazy. Factors of 500. I can calculate myself. So I reckon if we do 100-meter spacing, so this is where this is where mathematics comes in useful. So I want to be, let's just put it in the center of the map for now. So X, we'll put to 250. Y, we'll just keep it 0. Z, we'll set to 0. So where does that place us? Okay, that's weird. That should have put me at the edge of the map. Where's this? Okay, the terrain's all offset. There we go. There we go. That's what I was expecting. So if these are placed 100 meters apart, let's duplicate this. And then it needs to move along. So red is the Z axis, 100 meters. So do 100. Oh, I don't have the live stream up, so I can't answer questions. What if I have a save and load for maps? Yes, I do want to do that as well. I think that's on the Discord. If you look in earlier versions of the preview, if I did any videos of it, you'll see those kind of save and load buttons for the map, but they didn't actually do anything. Yeah, and I definitely want to add towns as well. It's just, with towns means I've got buildings. With buildings means they need to kind of shred apart, which means I then need to wire up Rayfire, which is like a thing in Unity which lets you, in real time, like split up models and have them ripped into shards and things. But that's an additional layer of logic. So right now I'm just placing the things which can easily just be lifted up in one go and thrown around. So we've got utility pole 7.1. So we'll duplicate that. And now we'll set this to 200. Duplicate 300. And then we're going to have a bit of a tricky task next. I'll tell you what it is once we get to it. 400. And 500. Alright, so we can see our utility lines are nice and evenly spaced 100 meters apart. Oh, but okay, let's think. If this is tile-based, though, let's just think. If this is tile-based, it means if that edge is against that edge, you can have them both repeating, which means one side is just going to not have to have power lines. Let's make it the final side there. Just made a for loop do it. Yeah, but then you have to create an editor script, annotate it as an editor script, wait for Unity to recompile everything. So in this case, doing it manually was the quickest way. But I know what you mean. That sometimes at work I have that issue where I'm deciding whether I should write a tool to do something or do it myself. It's like, will I save time by actually developing it? Hey, you're thinking along the right lines, Real Smurf. So that is kind of what I already do with this debris, and that's what I'll be doing with the houses as well. So it starts off kind of just stationary. Once it moves, so once it's like pushed or moves from its original location, it then listens or monitors its movement, and if it stops for, I think, more than 1 or 2 seconds, it then is removed. So it's interesting to have the debris in the air while it's getting thrown by the tornado, but then once it comes to a rest, we delete it just to just to save performance. So yeah, you're thinking along the right lines. Okay, we need to... Right, this is going to be the tricky bit. Let's just... There we go. We need to place the wires between them. Sorry, I'm missing questions here. Oh, hello, Victor. Sorry, I'm... Right, sorry, I'm just going back up the questions. I've missed quite a lot. So Rainbow's offering to help with storm structure. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. What I kind of need to do is be able to describe it in mathematical terms, which I know you've done with the subvortices and things. So for example, a wall cloud. I need to know. I guess it's kind of like a cylinder, which changes radius as you move towards the cloud base. I guess in a really simplified way. And if there's a way of describing them in a way that I can programmatically add into, then I can definitely do it, because I essentially need to write code which takes a pixel in 3D space, or I guess a voxel, and say, do I draw density here, yes or no? And I need to be able to answer that question for every possible voxel. About the tiles for the map customization. Yeah, I'll be adding more tiles as well. Have people create their own tiles? Probably not yet. I'm not sure at what point that creates a lot of rewiring of the existing logic, so I'm not planning for that just yet. And I think I said hello to Victor. Before adding entire towns, you think about adding smaller buildings that fit in, such as barns or small worn-down abandoned houses. Actually, I've got some barns, and I guess instead of them smashing up into pieces, I could just let the individual, like the roof and walls and stuff, be separate bits which get torn off. If you add towns, how would you add them if this is tile-based? Well, if you look at the scale of this, so this is one tile, 500 meters by 500 meters. You could easily fit in like a cul-de-sac with houses, or a stretch of road with houses on each side. So that would be the plan. Have houses on the sides of roads or down like a cul-de-sac. I haven't fully planned it, but it's definitely doable. I have to see if figure out the best approach. Okay, next thing. So we need to figure out so a ground wire. Why it's called a ground wire? Is that because that's probably because it goes to ground. So we've got wire along what we need to figure out which wire we need. It's just hard to see here in the preview. Wire along 6. Right. Let's just drag it into the scene, and I can. Right, rotation. It needs to rotate 90 degrees on some axis, not the x-axis, not the z-axis. Y-axis doesn't make any difference. Maybe minus 90 on the x. Yeah, we want the power lines hanging down. What's the spacing here? Right, so let's just set the position to 0, 0. No, it wasn't 0, it was 250 on here, wasn't it? Yeah, so we need to make sure these line up. So let's just... Right, there we go. Oh, so we do have this central one. So let's have a look. Let's just do some rough estimates here. So that's how far? So that's 100 meters. So a third of the way. Do I need to scale it by a factor of 3? Which axis do I scale on? Not the X. The Y, or oops, I said X scale, or Z, not Z. Yeah, it looks like Y. Scale the Y axis by 3. That's a bit too long. 2. Too short. So we'll do a binary search here. 2.5. Oh, that might be perfect actually. 2.5 looks just about perfect. So we just need to bump the height up a fraction. There we go. So that's it for the topmost. And this should, once we've got it placed, I'll nest it under utility pole 7. Then I guess wires have to be their own thing, don't they? Well, let's get them placed properly first. So that's the first one. Let's duplicate it. Now it needs to move along and down. So we need to place it so it's about here. Let's change my focus so that's centered. Yeah, then we need to move it along this way. And then the height needs to be right. Yep, that looks right to me. Then we just need to duplicate that and then move it to the left. So I'm trying to figure out how to handle the wires in this case. So let me catch up with the chat. Storms and wall clouds and all that's just basically comma shaped. Huh, interesting. Just have the spiral as it goes further out, have less volume, and more as it goes in stories. We'll have to play around with that one night. I have implemented Bezier curves before, but it's very difficult to get the exact look you want. But it's definitely doable. But maybe not those specific curves. Power flashes, yes, I can in two different ways. I can either have a particle emitter, which like sprays sparks out of the power line when it's hit, or I can actually light up the tornado funnel and have it like volumetrically illuminated as it moves across the map. Less amateur than the current release. Yeah, well, the other release was amateur. It was my very first published game, so I knew I could do it again better, which is why I started this version. Is Unity simple to use? Also, is game design similar to 3D modeling? No, I'd say the two are different because I'm absolutely terrible at 3D modeling. I can't do that at all, but I can work my way around the Unity editor fine. Unity, it depends. It's simple to use. I think it's easier to pick up and learn than Unreal Engine. Whether it's easy is relative. It depends on your past experience using other editors. I think Unity is probably the most intuitive, and it depends what you want to do. If you wanted to create your first game and just have something simple, like a person that runs around a map, kind of like first-person shooter, and probably be quite straightforward. If you want to do something that's like multiplayer or does a lot of complex rendering and you have to write like your own like graphics shaders for it, then it's going to be really difficult. So the editor itself's not too bad to use, and I'm probably only using like 5%, if that, of all the features that Unity gave you. So yeah. Yeah, whether it's easy, it's hard to say. It's relative. It depends on the person. But I'd say if you're going to if you want to get into game design and creating games, Unity's an excellent choice. Like I did for a time try using Unreal. I just instantly didn't like the editor. I haven't tried Godot, so I can't comment on that. One good thing with Unity is the amount of assets that are available, so you don't have to create every single thing yourself. Like I didn't create these. These are an asset pack I paid for. Yeah, I think I'd have to have particles which come out of the power line, and then that triggers a flash inside the funnel. So let me just think about this. So right, so we've got these wires, so they're in the correct place. But then what we also need is ground wires, because for the very last one in the sequence, this is going to have wires going to the ground. So let's find ground wires. Ground wire 4. Let's just drag this over here. So the wires would come from over there. Let's see. Does this connect up to anything? I think it needs to rotate like 90 degrees. Does it hook up to the very top of there? Let's move it that way and that way. Figure out what that one that's even supposed to connect to. I might have chosen the wrong one. Yeah, maybe that's not the right one. Let's delete that. So I didn't like ground wire 4. Let's try ground wire 3. Or is it meant to come out the side of what? I'm not actually sure where these ground wires are supposed to be placed. An ember gen. I'm not sure what that is. But things like particle sprite sheets are definitely helpful. Yeah, thank you for that, Arthur. Oil refineries. Oh yeah, for the Twisters reference. I do have some farm buildings which kind of look like that. Let's see. Do I add the ground wires or not? Oh wait, are the ground wires supposed to connect up here? See, I'm not a power line technician, so I don't know what these are supposed to look like or how they're supposed to be placed. Let's try ground wire 2. And to be fair, I don't want them. Yeah, I don't want them sticking into the road. I want them running parallel with the road. Right, it looks like it's supposed to connect. This one looks like it's going to connect up to something on that side. I think. Right, ground wire 2 is looking good. Let's delete that. Let's move it along a little bit. May need to move it down a little bit. Along and down just a bit. I think I need to change my focus. Just got to get that lined up at the end there. Okay, that's looking almost right. I just need to, get a good view so it's lined up. So this needs to move along this way. On 2D particle system on top of the volume. Yeah, so the asset I use for it does support having like a sprite emitter, like particle emitter, inside the volume. I just haven't figured out how to make the best use of it yet. Let's just adjust the camera here. Right, let's change the Y. Let's set the Y to 0. Okay, that looks about right. Right, let's locate the view and check that it's aligned left, right. Looks like it needs to go right a little bit, which is negative X. So 250. 51.4, 251.3, 251.3, 0.4, 0.39. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so we've got our ground wire. So now what we need to do is duplicate it and move it. So let's see, what's the difference in X between that two? So let's do some calculation. We've got 251.385 minus 248.66. So the difference is 2.725. So the second one should be that minus 251.39. 248.665, if I've done it right. There we go. So we've got our ground wires now. Next what I'm going to have to do is duplicate those wires. So let's create an empty parent. Let's call it wire parent. And then we'll need to duplicate this and offset this by 100 meters each time as well. So duplicate 100. Yeah, if we zoom in, yeah, they appear to connect up. And then duplicate 200. And then duplicate 300. And then that gets us to here. So the very first one will just be like that, without the ground wires, and then should it have ground wires? Yeah, I think it should. Maybe I should. Right, what I'm going to do, let's delete this. We're then going to duplicate that last one. So I'm just going to call this a grounded power line. Duplicate it, set its Y, X, so should X be 0? Why is the transform so weird? No, X should be 250, Z should be 0. The grounded power line shouldn't have the wires with it. Delete that. Then we need to rotate this whole thing 180 degrees. What is going on? Sorry, I think I've... So I'm going to duplicate this grounded power line. However, I don't want any of these long wires because they're already placed. And I'm going to place this at the beginning. So if we rotate it 180 degrees, wait, around the pivot, no, let's not do that. Rotate 180 degrees around its center. There we go. Don't know why it's being so annoying like that. Why is it all the way over here? I think these ground wires are messing up the transform somehow. Right. Do this again. Grounded power line. Right, that's not its center. So if I duplicate it, I want to delete all the other things. So I've just got a grounded power line. Let's do it based off the pivot. That's not the grounded power line. That's probably what half the issue is. Right, no wonder I've been getting so confused. Right, this is... Is it? Or was it the... Oh, there's one more. What's this one all the way over here? Sorry, I'm just getting confused. Had a long day. Right. That's the grounded... Alright. So... That should be nested under there. Wire pair. Right. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused here. Right, utility pole 7. Yeah, that's 100 meters in. It shouldn't have any power lines, no. Got wire parent 1, wire parent 2. Do we have wires here? No, we don't. 2, 1 wire parent here, and then we need... Oh yeah, we do have wires there, right. So, let's get the right one. Okay, this is the one with the ground wires. Okay, duplicate that one. Set its Z to 0. So now it should be here. Yeah, now we just need to rotate it 180 degrees. There we go. So, how have we only got 3? Yeah, because we've got 4 power lines, isn't it? Or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just have 4 wire parents. 1, 2, 3. And then for some reason it's part of this grounded wire power line for this last one. That's fine. Or what I could just do, delete those since we don't need those. Just keep it consistent. And then 300. Alright. Because what we're going to create here is a prefab. Let's get these in order as well. So we'll just number this one 0. Oops. So we've got power line here, 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 and here. We've got the wire parents there, 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 and there. So, next thing, we need to make them actually react to the tornado. So, what they'll need, so to react to a tornado, they're going to need so either between mesh collider or box collider. Or capsule collider. So capsule collider, and then we're just going to scale it in height. Okay, so the center, let's just place that up there. Let's put the height like that. Let's shrink the radius to fit, so I think it's like 0.1, 0.2. Shrink the height a little bit. So I will look at the chat in a second. I just need to make sure I get this right. Yeah. Is that the right height for the capsule collider? No, it needs to be a little bit taller. And I think we can lower the center slightly. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our capsule collider. Next, we'll also need to add a rigid body. So we don't need to assign mass, we just need to not use gravity and set it to is kinematic. Then we need to add, I forgot what it's called, a tornado. Is it tornado destructible? Yes. We need to make it a tornado destructible. So what we need to do is choose the wind speed that it's actually going to react to the wind. So that's a good stopping point so I can catch up with the chat. Okay, I can't go too far back. What weather tornado related movies would you recommend? I've only watched Into the Storm like 10 years ago. So Twister is a must, and you have, once you watch it once, you're then obligated to watch it obsessively for the rest of your life. The 1996 Twister, it still stands the test of time. The CGI is a little dated in some scenes, but the CGI of the tornado, I think, despite the fact it was done in 1995, I think the tornadoes still look great in Twister. Storyline's great. The characters are very lovable. I'd say the original Twister and the sequel Twisters really did it justice as well. It wasn't just a money grab. Twister and Twisters is good. It's more of a family-friendly movie. One of the first tornado movies I watched was Night of the Twisters. It's a mix. It's kind of centered on the drama of having like how the tornado affects a family and like the local community, but it's still quite a good story. It's a bit cringe at times, but in terms of tornado movies, I quite like Night of the Twisters. What are the tornado movies? And like, so you've said you've already seen Into the Storm. That's probably the one I've watched the least. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Just the storyline wasn't engaging. The CGI was a bit overdone. There's the one. Who's the famous guy who shot someone accidentally? He's filming a cowboy movie and shot someone. There's a big hullabaloo about it. He was in one, which was okay. What was it called again? It's got the guy from Jericho in it. So I'm gonna have to do it this way. First, I'm gonna have to look up the TV series Jericho. TV series cast. Skeet Ulrich. And then I need to see what he's been in. Was it Skeet Ulrich? I feel like it was. Supercell. That's the one. Skeet Ulrich and Alec Baldwin. Those are the names I was looking for. Supercell. That was quite good. It's quite realistic in terms of the storm terminology. It's not too realistic in terms of the physics. But I thought it was a pretty engaging movie overall. I'd say those would be my topics. Twister, definitely. If you don't like it at first, you're wrong, and you need to watch it repeatedly until you like it. Twisters is good as well. Close second. Night of the Twisters and Supercell, I'd say, would be my recommendations. There's also a pretty rubbish one, but I still enjoyed watching it, called Atomic Twister, about a tornado which hit a nuclear power plant. It like knocks out the coolant system. That was a pretty good one too. Like when I was younger, like it's engaging for like a single watch. It's really corny, but it was. I don't know. It's worth a one-time watch just to get an idea of what was available on TV in like the early 2000s and late 90s. It can simulate how dust clouds work and how the individual dust particles would fly just using big sprites. Have that in the volume would have crazy visual. Yeah, I need to set aside some time to work on the visuals. We'll maybe do that in an upcoming live stream. Politically correct answer is Sharknado. Yeah, I've only watched that once. Yeah, it's one of those so bad. I don't know. I do like my so bad it's good movies. Um, like Birdemic, Troll 2, anything by Neil Breen. Those movies which are legitimately so bad they're good because you can tell they actually really tried. They really, really tried, and they're just terrible. And that just makes it all the better. Whereas Sharknado is obviously just made to be as bad as possible, because that's what the Asylum's known for. Yeah, I don't think I've got any so bad it's good tornado movies. I've not ever actually watched Tornado, the other tornado movie from 1996. I should probably check that out. But anyway, let's figure out. Yeah, so we need to add this: a tornado destructible. So, what wind speeds do power lines? Okay. At what wind speeds do power lines get ripped out of the ground? Should I be at which wind speeds? So I am using ChatGPT off screen, but because it's got some questions and stuff asked related to my work, and some other stuff, I just don't want show my ChatGPT chats because can't be giving away trade secrets. Even though I don't use it for trade secrets, but don't want to identify my employer in my live streams. So try and keep this completely separate from my day job. So I'll make them in a week with 4 VFX workers. So they're just kind of like the equivalent of AI slop, but like done manually, where they're just given a bunch of scenes to edit and like add a tornado to this, add a shark to that, put some explosions here, and then they'll just go through in a big batch and just there you go. There's your edited clip. Can I? Oh, sorry, Real Smith. I missed your question there. Can I add tornado effects? Uh, it depends what exactly you mean by tornado effects. Um, you're talking dust, debris, power flashes. Because I can add them, but the focus for this stream is getting getting more models and things placed on the map. Like debris. Yeah. What? There's also another thing I can do with the debris, which is to use the what's it called? It's like particle graph or something like that. VFX graph, I think it's called. I can add a lot of debris there, like millions of pieces of debris, and have them moving around according to the winds in the volume quite efficiently as well. I just haven't added that particular bit yet. If you mean snapping, it's like 70 to 130. Uprooting, it's probably like 150 to 200 because they kind of just become tiny stumps. Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, because I do like that idea of improving the visuals as well. It's just, this is an object placement stream. Okay, so I think we'll could we split the difference? Say 140. Say the minimum activation, let's say 130 miles an hour. The maximum activation, let's say 160. I'm kind of overlapping those two ranges. No, it's not fully realistic. I just don't have the mechanics to snap the poles yet. So the mass that it weighs, let's make them weigh somewhere between 50 and 200 kilos. So the effects start. This is when the winds start to affect them. So to be fair, this can just match that, or maybe that minus a little bit. So say 100 to 130, then 130 to 160. Keep the frontal area, I guess, somewhere between 0.5 and like what's the frontal area of that? Yeah, about 1.5 meters squared or something if you add it all up. Lift coefficient, let's set that between 0.1 and 1. Lift area between 0.5 and 5. I think that's fine. Lift weight fraction, we want them to actually potentially be ripped out of the ground. So let's set this between like 0.9 and 2. Idle seconds before destroy. Let's just set it to 1 for these. Okay. So I've got that component. We now need to add that to every utility pole. Actually, we need all those components. So, what I'm thinking. Oh no, I can't just copy and paste this one though. Right. So what we're gonna have to do is just paste component as new. Oh, cool. It adds the rigid body to it. It's be kinematic. We also need to copy and paste the collider. I'll do that after. So let's just paste component as new. We need to do the same for the power lines as well. Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to have a lot of performance. Just to calculate the power lines. Right, this is the last one in the series. So paste component as new. Do we waste time calculating physics for the power lines? Or do we just kind of leave them floating? At least now, initially, just to test putting these in the game. Because if you've got a long string of these, that's going to be a lot of physics to calculate for something which you're barely going to be able to see. I think we'll leave it off the wires for now. And what I'll do is maybe on another stream, because we've only got about probably another hour, is have an object which just gets deleted when its parent's deleted. So I'll have to add some additional interface so that when this power line moves, it just deletes these power lines from the game. Grounded power line, where's that? Oh, okay, that's just... Is that supposed to be here? Yeah. Wait, I've got 5... What's this? Oh, it's just an empty. Right, just delete that. Right, so then the next thing we need to do is copy the capsule collider. So copy component. We do the same thing. Paste component is new. Paste component is new. You can see how time consuming this is, and this is just for one thing, which is the power lines. So imagine if I want to have a massive variety, there's a lot of manual editing which is going to have to go into this. Alright, so we've got all those. So what I think is now that all these need to be nested under, so we're going to create an empty parent. So we'll just call it a power line row, because it's a row of power lines. Because I guess power line would be a bit redundant. Then what we need to do is create a prefab. So let's just clear the console, that's just stuff going on. So we've got assets, then there should be object, so scatterer prefabs, power pole prefabs, and then we'll just drag that into there. Now what we need to do is scatter list. So we need to create one, which I'm going to call a roadside list. So scriptable objects, roadside items, and this is just going to be a list with one thing in it, which is the power line row. Okay. Now what we need to do is go and edit all of the other prefabs. So road, where is it? Procedural road network, scriptable objects, road networks, simple road network. Now what I need to do is pin this or lock this. So we need to go, so it won't be on field, we won't do it on corner. Do we do it on dotted cross? Now, I reckon we'd just do it on dotted straight, dotted branch, and maybe dirt straight. So the dotted straight, so if I double click on this, where is it? What I'm going to have to do is unlock this. Right. Sorry, 1 second. I'm going to have to move some views off screen. So simple road network, I'm going to open this in another window, because then I can go dotted straight, go there. What we're going to have to do is delete this rotated version of it. It's going to let me delete. Yeah, delete those. We'll go to straight road. Now what we need to do is we've got some of these placement prefabs, so I'm just going to call this roadside. We need to generate a selector ID. We need to move it right next to the road. So let's just zoom in there, because then we'll need to add some things to that prefab as well, so it knows how to load them. So we've got that. Yeah, so I think that's a reasonable distance out from the side of the road. I need to figure out where to place it though. So if we did load the prefab in at that location, what would the offset need to be? Do I need to do it in the middle? To be fair, right. 0, 0, 0. Because this is the center of the pivot. Yeah. So if x is like 5, 7.5, maybe 10. Right, if x is 10, I can probably figure this out. Right, so instead, this isn't going to be a large item selector. This is going to be a roadside item selector with only one thing in. Next thing, if I go to some of these, there's another, I'm trying to remember now, there is another script you need to add to them so that they can be selected. A scatter prefab settings script as well. So let me add that. Scatter prefab So if we go to roadside items, power line row. So where's the actual pivot for this? Right, this should be all set to, I guess, 0, 0. Okay, so let me check the chat again. You can add more vegetation. And I'll have to do like a tile creation stream as well. So we've got one for like tornado visual stream. We also need like one for creating new tiles. Yeah, I think we need to change the vegetation in there. Am I the dev? Yes, I am the dev of the game. Oh, hello, Duxie. Yeah, it has been a long time no see. It's been like 2 years, do you think? Right, so if that pivot's there, okay, I think what we'll do, right, I've got a plan. Right, I need to unpack these prefabs actually. I need to unpack these. Unpack completely. Unpack completely. Prefab. Unpack completely. Okay. We need to add on this the object scatterer thingy. Selector. Object scatter select. No, not selector. It was something else. What was it called again? Again, right. Let's just search scatter. Scatter prefab settings. Here we go. So the base Y offset, I think, because the prefab's already the right offset, I think this can just be 0. We're not going to allow random scale. We're not going to allow random rotation. And we're also not going to allow a random offset. One thing I'm worried about is... We'll worry about that when we get to it. Right. So I think... So that's for just... Let's just save that. So let's go back to the road network thing. So I will get to a point where we can test this in the editor in a second. Scriptable objects, road networks, okay. Properties. So that's dotted straight, but it needs to be rotatable. So we'll generate the missing rotated prefabs there. There we go. So we've got a rotated version of that. I think there may be some issues with when it's rotated, but what we'll do is we'll address that. We'll address that in a minute. So we need to do the same thing for dotted branch. So in dotted straight, so on the straight road prefab, what was the offset again that we placed it? With roadside. What we can probably do as well is just copy this, copy component, and then can we just copy the entire thing? Can we just copy the game object? No. Actually, maybe. What if I just copy? Okay, so where was it? It was offset by 10. Okay, so let's go to dotted branch. Dotted branch. Branch road. We need to delete all the rotated versions of these. So all these branch road rotations we need to delete because it's going to get updated. So let's open branch road. Now, can we just paste it into here? Yes, we can. So we need to make sure it's nested the same as that. Let's set it as 10. So yeah, it can be in the same place. So just running straight down there. And then if we go to... do we generate a new ID? Let's just generate it anyway. Dotted branch. dotted branch. I call it dotted branch because it's got a row of branches off the side. So I will come back to the chat in a second. Right, we've got that done. And then dirt straight. Or maybe about dotted dirt T. Maybe just not have them on the dirt roads. So dotted dirt branch. I'll delete that. Yeah. So let's open dotted dirt branch. Where? I've lost it. Dotted branch. Dotted branch. No, it wasn't. It was dotted dirt T. Dotted dirt. Dotted dirt branch. Okay. Okay, we'll paste that and just make sure. Yeah, it needs to be nested under the pivot. Set the offset to 10. And set the Z to 0. Yeah, again, we will randomize selector ID. Then we'll go back. Dotted dirt branch. Dotted dirt T. Right, generate the missing rotated. Okay, I think now, if we go to the customize your chase screen, we can test this out. It won't work. I know for a fact it won't be right the first time around. What we need to do, check is that it's loading correctly. Then we need to figure out the offset it should be loaded by, along probably the x-axis, so that when it's both loaded and rotated, it's in the right place. But let's just test it in the editor right now. So let's just do that. Add rivers and lakes. Yeah, so I'll show. Actually, I can't show you while it's loading. What I'll do is I'll pull up on another thing. River auto material. I think did I get the 2019 version? So I bought this. This is what I used to make the river in the original one. It's called River Auto Material, and if I just jump ahead, yeah, it lets you do things like place. I don't know why it's you can place rivers and things. Bought this way back in 2022, I think 2023 I bought it to add rivers. So yeah, it's definitely doable, and then I can tile them together. So you can see it's very. You see, I've spent how long, an hour now, and managed to add 5 power poles to the game. So you see, it's very time consuming. So I've got to choose between adding new tiles or adding new features to the game. Okay, I've got a lot of straight sections of road here, so not too fussed on those things. Right, let's have a look, see what it looks like in the game. So what we need to do is get to a straight section right up here. And we should hopefully start seeing some power lines. If they're not loading, then it means I've missed a step somewhere. There's also a 40% chance of them not loading as well. And hopefully we should see some power lines pop into existence in a second. Oh, there's also a possibility that they've... oh, look, I can see some in the distance there. What I'll do, let's put this full screen. Look, there's some there, but they're probably not going to be in the right place. Actually, I say that, they look like they're exactly in the right place. I guess let's just go drive around and just check in every case that the power lines are in the right place. Maybe I just got lucky with the placement. We've got a nice long straight bit here, so you need to check both the east-west and north-south versions of these tiles. Power lines are loaded correctly. at coal mines. I did actually have a thought. There's a song I really like by James Keelahan called Hillcrest Mine. I think of maybe just doing a nod to that by just having like an entrance to Hillcrest Mine somewhere in the game. You maybe use it as shelter from tornadoes. Well, the achievement's bugged in the 2023 version. I think you can add music. I had some, not royalty free, but I guess music which was included with the license when I bought a bunch of sound effects, which is what I used for like the main theme in the original game. So yeah, I think I'll have that same theme music, maybe slightly altered for the second one as well. So we need to check some north-south roads, because the placement for these seems fine. So you've actually got any tornadoes spawning yet? Not yet. I'm actually quite happy if these just happen to have worked. That's what Bob Ross would call a happy little accident. Yeah, I didn't even add that. That's so I bought some Unity vehicle sound effect packs, and it comes with a bunch of different engine sounds. I think it's like the German V8 diesel, something like that. Yeah, it automatically comes with like muffled versions of the sounds. It's definitely a lot better than an engine sound. When I watch people play the original version, the 2023 version, I still cringe at that kind of whiny. I put loads of time into trying to get that engine sounding good, but I just couldn't match what comes with this asset. But yeah, it's a bit whiny in the original version of the game. Again, our first tornado. What I do is just drive all around the map and just check it. Every case where we see power lines that are in the right place, like they're not intersecting roads and they're not rotated incorrectly or anything like that. You can see the tornado there going north. Maybe we can go for an intercept as well, just while we're testing this in the editor. You have to say that the performance in the editor will always be worse than what you'll get with the full compiled version of the game. Wait a second, there's a texture error there. I think it's some broken textures. Oh no, that's just the colour of this is the track that happens to be a similar colour to what missing texture colour looks like. But no broken texture. Okay, we've got some power lines along here. Do need to fix the vegetation, those flowers are way too big. I like how they've got shadows and those things as well. We've got some power lines here. I don't see any issues. I have noticed that they are actually offset accidentally, but not in a way that actually interferes with the game. At least not that I've noticed yet. Yeah, look, you've got an F1 here. Let's go off-road. I'll try and go for an intercept as well. Stop or yield signs at intersections. Oh, I could, actually, because all it would be is adding them. I have to check if I've got 3D models for them, even though I did pay for a subscription to an AI mod generator, so you just need to give it a picture, describe what you want, and it just generates a full textured 3D model for it. Pretty cool. Like, literally, I just give it a picture of Toto, like a 2D picture of Toto, and it generated that 3D image, for that 3D model for me, from a 2D image. Yeah, so they do already have like 4 wind sounds that kind of get blended between, but yeah, maybe I could randomize them and switch them out a bit. One thing I do want to have is kind of like almost like the lion sounding roar that you get in Twister, which is actually, I think, it was a camel's moan that was reversed and slowed down, like the reversed sound and slowed it down. I think that's good. But it kind of sounds like the roar of a lion, which I wouldn't mind adding to the game. I use it to indicate a new tornado spawning in the Doomsday mode, the original game. It'd be quite nice just to, like, there's something intimidating right here, like animalistic, like deep growling sound. And let's watch these power lines. Let's see if power lines get it. I need to check that they're actually direct with the tornado as well. See how they're gonna go. Oh, there we go. First power line gone. And then what I'll have to do, maybe tomorrow, maybe do it off stream, so it won't be the most interesting thing to watch. Oh, look, we're about to see inside the tornado. That power line's going as well. What I can add is just a script to automatically delete these power lines. That's how I did it in the original game. I think I just deleted the power lines whenever they were hit by a tornado. Power lines are working, so that's one thing added to the game, so you can see how much time it takes just to add a single thing into the game. Beeping from the 2023 version. Beeping. So I'm not sure, it is the end of a long day, so I may just be not thinking things through here. I'm not sure what you mean by the beeping. Oh, kind of like the radio teletype sound, like the sound effect here once they finally collect the data. No, that was the thing where tower was going to be hit, wasn't it? Yeah, that was just kind of like a pitch shift type of like. Yeah, I just did that originally. I had the actual EAS sound that pitch shifted it, but apparently even if it's pitch shifted, it's not best practice to have that in games. So I just kept it out. So we're going to see some wind turbines get wrecked. I think it's safe enough to step out the vehicle and just watch as the tornado passes overhead. So I'm thinking maybe we've got time to add one more thing. So I guess, is there any way for me to do a vote in the chat? I'll just have to go based on what people are saying. So it would have to be something quick. I was thinking fences, but that's probably going to be too time consuming. Something we could add cows, which just stand randomly inside of the road. What were the other models which I had? I don't think we'll have time to do fences. We could do a clump of trees. So trees which can get uprooted. There goes the tractor. This trailer. And another one. So yeah, we could do cows, trees, or individual bales of hay. So I can't actually add EAS warnings because there's FCC or something like that. You can't. You're not actually allowed to reproduce those tones because there's a risk of get broadcast and trigger actual real-world equipment. Yeah, so yes, I could add them to the game, and because I'm in England and that's an FCC rule, can I still get in trouble with it? So yeah, I can. Like, it's easy enough, and I've done it before. But I think legally I can't, just to be on the safe side. I need to avoid them. I could create something close, which sounds similar, because all it is frequency shift keying. Like, they don't have a monopoly on frequency shift keying, so I can change the frequencies, change the speed, so it sounds similar but not quite. Okay, so I've had a couple people say trees. Yeah, so what I'm going to do a commit. So, good practice. Oops, I already had it open. Good practice. Get status. Right. I don't want to add those power poles to my Git repo because that's just using up space. So what we're going to do is add this to the Git ignore list. Right, so now I should still do this. Commit, so to say power lines. And then we'll push that online, so if my laptop even explodes, I've got an offsite backup of that. There we go. So, trees. Yes, that's a pretty easy one to do. So, what we need to do, this is the most important bit, is decide which trees. So, let's find, should have a nature manufacture asset. Let's say meadow environment. Trees. High quality poplar prefabs. Baked and optimized. I think, are these optimized ones the ones that I used? Let's see. Prefab, baked. These are the ones that use lodding, which we may need to do. Not many leaves on them though, is there? Oh, 1 second, I think I'm going to sneeze. There we go. Got that out. Right. For the in-game menu... Oh, sorry, that sneeze has triggered some acid reflux. Ugh. Right. Thank you. That's probably... I wonder if that sets a record for the most distant bless you. I gotta sneeze in England and get a bless you from America. Thank you. So get some tissue. Yeah, sorry about that. Just on the tail end of a cold. I think it peaked yesterday, and I'm just clearing it today. Right, let's see. Poplar 7. That looks a bit more vegetation-y. Poplar 6. Nah, that looks a bit weed. Actually, I quite like the look of that. 5. Ooh, that's more full, isn't it? 4. Right, what I'll do. This one's got 3. 2. So I think I quite like 5. What do people think? What do people think? Should I go for number 5? Have that bit? Look, it's even got roots. It can literally be uprooted. Just one thing I need to do is change the materials. Materials are a bit too reflective. Oh, it's not running on that laptop anymore. Yeah, once you add physics to it, maybe I have to have an option in the menu to like disable object scattering, so you can just focus on chasing the tornadoes. Smoothness remap. The problem is, yeah, it's just too smooth, isn't it? That's looking better. Poplar leaves. Yeah, and the same for the trunk. Trunk's on shiny. At least not with any trees I've seen. That's his trunk smoothness remap max. The detail on it, look, we've got individual bits of moss. Look at that. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous amount of detail. Props to Nature Manufacture. So, what I'm going to do is, because I like to have a dedicated folder, because I've got assets spread all throughout, so I want a dedicated folder for things specifically that are going to get scattered. So scatter prefabs, scatter lists. Yeah, this can actually go on the large items, because trees are quite large. I guess it depends what you compare to. Compared to the sun, no. Compared to a paperclip, yes. Right, so what I'm going to do, we're going to create a folder. We're going to call this, I guess, vegetation prefabs, because we may have more than just trees. Place that there, so we've got a copy of it. Now we need to add those things to it. So first, does this all right? Make sure we're editing this one. Does this already have colliders, etc.? Yeah, it does. It already has a capsule collider. Does it have a rigid body though? And only the lowest lot. Right, we're gonna have to change this because only the lowest lot has a capsule collider, which means it won't be active. So if I'm far away from the tree and the tornado's close, there won't actually be a collider for it to collide with. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this component and we're going to paste it on here. Then we're going to remove the component off here. Right. Did I mention? I can't remember if I actually mentioned this. I had a dream about this game the other night, and the vegetation was just extremely vivid. Like the colors just popped and looked amazing, and like the tornado was like. But I was like stood in the game in real life as well. It was weird. There's like a tornado at the top of this hill with all this vegetation. Looked amazing. Like there was all this just debris like swirling but moving like a fluid, and it just looked absolutely amazing. And then I woke up and was kind of disappointed that my game doesn't look like that yet. I need to yeah. I need to keep working until it's literally the game of my dreams. Rigid body. Oh, I wonder if I ever meet a guy named Richard Body. Then I can just have that joke to myself. Right, so we also need... Right, what were the things? There's the tornado wind force. No, it wasn't tornado wind force. Tornado wind trigger. Destructible. Tornado destructible, that's what it is. Right, again, we need to decide what are the, whatchamacallit, wind speeds there. Okay, what wind speed do trees, I just spelled trees like cheese, with an extra E on the end, get uprooted. I'm just asking ChatGPT. Severe weather outlook. So let's say severe weather outlook. What I plan is having, you'll have your week and it'll present 5 days to you. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because as we all know, tornadoes take the weekend off. And it'll show you like the Cape and Helicity. It'll be randomly generated for each day. So some days may be more intense than others. Maybe a couple of days which is similar intensity. Then you only choose one day to chase on that week. So you kind of got to put your forecast skills to the test. People online how they might need to use lossless scaling on Steam. The AI generated frames are okay, and the upscaling helps a fair bit. That's interesting. The game is going to consume me. Yeah, Richard body. Yeah, just so there's a component called a rigid body, which yeah, I'm a rigid body, which lets the Unity node essentially just simulate physics on this item. So when I was saying rigid body, it just sounded like I was saying Richard body. Uproot trees supposed to be coming around 55 to 70. Widespread, that seems a bit low. Is that just me or is that quite low? 55 to 70 miles an hour. we get 70-mile-an-hour gusts here, and you get the occasional tree uprooted, but you're not going to get like an entire forest uprooted at 70 miles an hour. Snapping becomes dominant in 94. Should we just say 150? Should we say 150 mile an hour? So let's say somewhere between 140 and 180. How much do trees weigh? I've never lifted an entire tree before. How much does a mature poplar weigh? The weight can vary depending on size. Yes, I just need a rough one. Yeah, ChatGPT's really putting the thought into this. Green density and biomass. No, I just need to know like on the order of like 100 kilograms. Probably more than 100 kilograms because people can lift 100 kilograms. I don't see people lifting trees. That powerlifting dude, you know the guy who goes in disguise as a janitor, he could probably lift a tree. That guy's insane. Estimated weight of mature poplar. Account for wood and water branches. It really doesn't need to put this much. It depends on what I mean by weight. Dry timber weight. 450 kilograms per meter cubed. I just need a half a ton to a ton. Okay, so let's just say anywhere between half a ton. Then the physics is going to not make it fly very well. Right, let's say anywhere between 100 kilograms and 1,000. There we go. Let me get the chat back so I can see. That's how old the tree is, yeah. 100. Yeah, say 120 to 150. 100 kilograms. I know it's not realistic, but if I put a heavy weight in, I also have to put a corresponding like lift ratio and stuff on that, and I'm not sure what those need to be. So I'll just put it in that range because I know the Unity physics will still make it fly. Effect start, so we'll just put this like 100 to 120 like before. Effect full, let's say between 140 and 150. Air density, lift coefficient. I think trees generate a lot of lift because of all the leaves and stuff. So let's set this between 0.75 and 1.5. Lift area, let's say between like 2 and 7. Right. Let's set this somewhere between 1.5 and 2. I want these things to fly. Idle seconds will destroy. Let's just say 1. Okay, but we've got a problem. It's just a tree, and we want to place tree clumps. Tornado destructible. We also need to add what was it? Scatter prefab settings. Actually, that shouldn't be on this. That shouldn't be on this component. So what we need to do is create an empty parent. Okay, we run into issues here because of the way the prefabs work. I need a parent. I don't think it's going to let me change the parent inside a prefab. So, right, that's created that prefab. Right, now we need to create a new prefab. How do you... I just need to create a prefab. What am I missing here? Actually, can I just duplicate these in here? Oh, but they're going to be nested. No, that's going to be no good. Right. I think what I may need to do is just open the terrain operations. So I'll just call this custom poplar. Then we're going to open the terrain operations scene. So then what we need to do is place these in a clump. So now if we go back to custom poplar, drag it there. Unless we do just no, because I'll have to create a bunch of new stuff. Right. So all you need to do is just create a clump of these. So what I'll have to do is just, let's see if I move that. So we don't have too many, so we'll have to move that. If we rotate it a little bit, maybe scale it down just a touch. There we go. Got two happy little trees there, as Bob Ross would call them. Duplicate. So how many trees should you have in a clump? Say about 5. Let's make this a slightly bigger tree. Which means we'll need to move it up just a little bit. Again, we want to rotate it some amount. Three to 5 in each group. Let's duplicate that and we'll move it over like here. I don't want them overlapping. Maybe this could be a small tree. And again, it needs to be rotated just to add that visual variety to it. And then maybe one more big tree to finish off the clump. Move it here, move it here. Let's see. Not exactly where I wanted to put it. Like here and yeah. Is that distributed enough so it doesn't look like unnatural, like it's been manually placed? Then let's scale this a little bit bigger. No, I think that's too big. A little bit like that, and then rotate like that. Yeah, is that clump shaped, or I feel like it should be kind of over here? What placement makes this the clumpiest? Maybe this one's. Right, we do that. And then do that. Now that's just a circle, isn't it? It doesn't look random enough. That should go in like that. It should maybe jut out a bit like that. Okay, so now what we need to do is get all these and create an empty parent and call this clump of trees. And now we'll drag that there. Why won't it let me create a prefab? Is it because I need to unpack these? No, what? Oh, it's because I'm trying to drag in the search results, man. Right, there we go. So we've got a clump of trees, but then what we need to add to this is we'll add the scatterer prefab settings on here. So allow random scale, yes. Somewhere between. It's going to scale each of these axes independently, isn't it? Let's just take random scale off for now. Let's allow random rotation anywhere between 0 and 360 degrees. Random offset. Yeah, let's offset anywhere from 0 to 100 units. I guess it can go anywhere from minus 100 to 100 units on the x-axis and minus 100 to 100 units on the z-axis. Then all we have to do is add clump of trees to the scatter lists and place it in the large items one. So if I just search clump, I don't imagine I have many things named clump of trees. There we go. So now we should have trees placed. So if we go to customize your chase, we should have trees on the map now as well. Let's just save that. Trees spawn on the. So just have like individual trees. It's called a grove, not a clump. Ah, yeah, I guess technically. Yeah, it would be. How many trees have to be before it's a grove? That reminds me. 90s telly used to be a TV show, big in England. I don't know if it's just big in Newcastle, called Biker Grove, because they used to like. have people who want to act and stuff from like local schools and stuff play it. Right, let's just do massive tornadoes for this one. Just do one tornado. Quick preview. Okay, seems decent. Okay, let's try that one. Hopefully we'll start seeing trees now. Yep. These have the same horrible lodding that the original game had. Yeah, I don't like those loud pops. Yeah, like pops into increasing detail as you get closer to it. I don't like that. Like, if there's a way maybe to make the LOD crossfade rather than just pop. Maybe need to add a LOD bias to it so that it shows the high quality models even from further away. Right, let's get going with a plan here. Right, we're going to get onto this road and head west, and then try and catch up with that tornado. So at least the map looks a little bit less lonely with the clumps of trees and the wind turbines and water towers and things. This is a slow mover. Look at that. Barely moving, already at full strength. Although I feel like, at what point is it a grove? At what point is it a wood? At what point is it a forest? Let's even watch some trees get uprooted. There's our first clump of trees. So I don't prefer the name clump. It's just a fun word to say. Make the menu in-game full. Oh yeah, sorry, I read that while I was editing, so sorry, completely forgot. You may have noticed my attention span is a bit all over the place. Menu in-game full screen. Yeah, I think I do want to do that. Make like an in-game laptop and then lock like the controls out from. So like, well, as you're moving the mouse around, it's not moving the camera or operating other things in the game as well. Yeah, I do think I'll make it full screen. Okay, here's our first problem. I think I set the offset too high. Now I said they could move 100 meters from where they're placed. But this means that they can spawn in the middle of the road, which is not the intended behavior. Maybe I'll set something smaller, like try 50 next. I just want to see some getting uprooted just to make sure that the physics is working properly. There goes a tractor. There goes a wind turbine. There's another tractor, there's a power line. Haven't seen any trees yet though. Watch out for that. Let's just quickly squeak on by. Yeah, there's more. There's more debris going. Oh, I think I'm getting pulled in. I just want to see if any trees are getting uprooted. Thing. Okay, looks like it's heading towards multiple. Are those groves? It feels too small to be a grove. Yeah, my wife's just walked in. She doesn't know we've had a full discussion on what you call a group of trees. I settled on clump. Apparently grove is correct. I also think wood and forest are also right. Oh, well, there's a tree, yeah. Trees move. I definitely do need to add just like a random talk to them, don't I? So like the twist. Yeah, trees get uprooted. Oh, yeah, trees definitely get uprooted. Real that. Yeah, but it doesn't look right. Right, I'm going to add that. Let's add one more thing. I'm going to vibe code it because it's going to take a bit too long to do it manually because I need to end this stream in the next like 15 minutes or so and then push this update. I've got another tractor trailer thing. Not a tractor trailer, but literally a tractor with a trailer attached to it. So those trees get uprooted. Yeah, so what we need to fix, I said they could be offset by up to 100 meters. I think that's too much. What did I call it? I called it a clump of trees. Right. So let's just say, just to be safe, say minus 30 to 30. Right. And then what I want to do, we're going to use codex for this. Okay. Now take a look. Actually, let's do a commit. Always good practice to do a commit. Git status. How come it hasn't picked up on the clump of trees? That's changed. Clump. I was going to write clump. That's going to be, yeah. Let's push that online. Right. Now take a look at how the tornado applies physics to the indestructible objects. I want a random torque applied just initially. Looks like the rupture's occurring. I guess you mean rapture, but I kind of like that typo. Rupture actually sounds a lot more dramatic than the rapture. Random torque applied just initially. Give objects a more chaotic appearance as they fly through the sky. Also applies to the player's truck. Please call it growth of trees. No, I kind of insist on clump. I could create a forest, but instead of a forest, it's a clump of groves. I had a one-time random activation talk for both. It applies a single random token impulse the first time it activates. Actually, make it activate once it moves, not just when it first activates. Yeah, I don't know. There's if you've watched The Office, Michael has a character called Michael Clump. I don't know. That name's also stuck with me. Just the talk trigger, so it only fires once the object has actually started moving. Activation talk velocity. There doesn't need to be a threshold for the truck, just for tornado destructible, not able. Okay, let's test this out. What's this about concave mesh colliders are not supported? Use a dynamic rigid body. It just means there's a mesh collider added to something somewhere, and it should be set to convex. There's a clump of trees. Where's my clump? I guess so. Oh, the ground wire. Yeah, we'll fix that later. So we need to do that on stream. We've got 10 minutes left, so I need to do a quick play test, and then we can get ready for the update. Again, let's max these sliders out, just so we can check how destructive everything is. Don't need a preview chase, let's just play. Let's head that way, so that's where the turret's going to be. Dead forest? Possibly. I don't... As long as they don't add too much of a performance hit to the game. I think, yeah, I should be able to add forests. Maybe I could probably add forests that don't interact with the tornadoes. And then just have these trees, which do interact with the tornadoes, kind of placed within the forest to give the illusion that the forest is getting torn. Right, there's our tornado. Right. Take his next left, and then... Oh, it's already a third of a mile wide. It's only moving 12 miles an hour, so we can't catch up with it. So take the next left, and head up next to the cornfield here. Which way is this moving? It's just like it's expanding on the spot. It's like moving 10 miles an hour. It's expanding faster than it's 0.6 miles. I don't think I've actually seen width text since I've started actually measuring one that actually measures the mile wide. I would have thought that was mile wide just looking at it, but it's not. It's 0.6 of a mile. Decreased performance, yeah. So you can render a lot of trees without impacting performance too much, but you can't add physics to them. Or you can render a few trees with physics, like what we've done here. So it's kind of a trade-off between having physics enabled and having a lot of them rendered. But yeah, I think you could add forests as long as I'm using the vegetation renderer for it and not using the physics engine to kind of place them. Oh, it's got sub-vortices. 0.8 of a mile wide now. There should be a road coming up. Yeah. Right. I want to see some trees get destroyed. Just gotta make sure that the trees don't get placed in the middle of the road either. Don't think we're going to be able to squeak past it because it's over the road. What we may need to do is take the long way around. I think rabbit's shortcut from Twisted. The zoom for the VHS. Yes, I think I need to add that. Definitely need to add that. You be careful the wind's getting up to the speed where it can start throwing the truck. Actually, I guess we could test that new torque where it should twist the truck. I've got a feeling it's not going to work for the truck because the truck's already moved. It's probably already flying. Let's see if it does though. at 36 miles an hour, it's still not getting lifted yet. Can't steer to the left any longer though. There you go, just ripped it in. Yeah, it's tearing everything up. I don't think the impulse torque works. I think what it needs to do is just continuously apply random torque. I don't think the impulse torque is working. You can see the path I'm taking around the tornado. Around the front now. May not want to put us down. Made like a full orbit of the tornado. Like a bunch of other things getting thrown around as well. And I'm not sure if it's delete individual trees in the forest. They can definitely react to wind though. Like I say, I can mix in some physics trees with non-physics trees, so he's creating that impression. Things are getting ripped out the ground. Ever going to put us down? I think this is our second orbit. Are we inside? I think we're inside the funnel now. No, we're above it. We're above the funnel. So I think what I need to do, I need to do this. Torque strength should scale with wind strength. Also, an initial impulse isn't enough. Can you just pick a random torque vector per object and continually apply it while under the influence of the wind? Oh, Neon, yeah, real swift, yeah, we'll definitely add forests. Exactly when, I'm not sure, but I will add forest tiles to the game. And Neon, what you're describing is called frustum culling, and I think that's already done in the game. It's just you can't see it happening because you're always looking through a camera. But yeah, I'm sure it does frustum culling by default in Unity. So yeah, so you don't have to waste time rendering things you aren't looking at. You can tune per prefab torque. Okay, that should be fine. Let's let the game recompile. Okay. Right, maybe I need to fix that on the utility. I can't be bothered right now. I need to be. It's not affecting anything really. It's just there must be a mesh collider on some of the wires, and there doesn't need to be. I can fix that another time. It doesn't affect the game yet. Thank you. This is one of those random background images. It's actually changed. Before I started the stream, it was a different background. Just Windows likes to put random pictures on there. Quite like the look of where that is. I can find out where it is. There's usually a thing saying, kind of like a button saying like There's my mouse. So like this picture, learn more, whatever. Let's see, where is this? Oh, there it is. It's in the top right. Learn about this picture. Then let's just find where this is. Maybe we can use it as inspiration for the game. It's got rivers, it's got vegetation, got trees. It's a river in Ecuador. Cool. Anyway, getting back to what the stream's about. Let's test the torque behavior. See if we can twist the truck. Can I crash into this? I think I can. Yeah, I can. Velocity on. There, we've already got our first minute on. I'm putting velocity in, you can see. Let's head north. I have to go off road for a little bit. Yeah, it's really narrow at the base. The cone tornado there. I just realised I've lost the chat. There it is. And rain curtains. Yeah, I had something almost like that in the 2023 version with the particle emitters, but it didn't look great. I kind of almost had them. I could maybe do it with the volumetrics in the supercell. Yeah, I was planning on using that to hide the tornadoes for distance so I could render the rain curtains instead of the tornadoes, just like a performance improvement. Really good. So let's try driving the truck in first and see if it like twists the truck rather than just having it just kind of lift off. So it's hard to catch, it's really fast moving. Is there more of a twist being applied to the objects there when they're picked up? It's hard to tell. Am I even catching up with it? Right, once we've got a road, I think we'll catch up a bit better. Get ahead of it a little bit. What about you see some power lines get ripped up here? Okay, loads of things to watch get ripped up. Let's get ahead of it and just watch some of the destruction and then we'll drive into it. From this point of view. Passing just to our north here. The track is starting to go. Yeah, look, it looks like things tumble more now instead of just lifting up like they're flying up. Yeah, look, trees are getting twisted up. Yeah, I'm more happy with that. Let's try driving into it and see how it affects the trip. The truck is getting twisted. Yeah, I like it just has like, it sort of just adds a bit of a twist each thing, so it doesn't just look like it's suddenly levitating. It shouldn't be stable like a plane taking off. Oh, thank you for the sub. See, I'm trying to figure out if I'm imagining it or it is in fact adding like a twist to them when they get lifted up. Let's watch some more things get uprooted. If I use VHS mode, there's a bit more contrast there. It just looks like it depends on the tree, but they do get twisted. It might just be choosing like a random axis. Yeah, look, that one's definitely like spinning around its y-axis. Let's try and drive in one more time. So yeah, I think that is a decent night's worth of development. We've added trees, we've added power lines, and also made objects kind of twist a little bit, so at least it looks a little bit more chaotic when they get thrown around. So I'm going to call that a night. I'll publish the update and post something on Steam. Yeah. Publish something on Steam in a minute. I still kind of want to watch the instructions a little bit. Yeah, this stream can go for 2 hours. Thank you everybody who stuck around for 2 hours. I really appreciate that. Enjoying the questions. Sorry I haven't always been the most responsive straight away. There's certain things I've had to concentrate on, like when I was getting confused with the placement of the power lines. Yeah, just look at how cool that looks. Probably see some stuff go down here. We need explosions. Things need to explode when going over the sun. Something I've learned from movies is everything just explodes, especially in America. Yeah, trees are getting thrown around. Oh, you know what I need to add? You know what I haven't added yet? And I need to add this. Camera shake. You wouldn't just be able to smoothly move the camera around like this, this close to a tornado. This should last for over 2 hours. Yeah, I got an early start tonight. I said to start streaming, so it would have been just after 8 PM. And usually what I'd do as well is that I'd usually the first half of the stream, I've worked on, then you would have only seen the last bit where I build the game and test it. Basically, I got the full view of everything this time around. Okay, but yeah, I do need to stop there. So thank you so much everybody who's joined and for the subscriptions and the interaction. It really makes it a lot more fun being able to interact with people and get ideas and suggestions. I do try and make a mental note of them. I am always prioritizing what comes next. But yeah, I'll be signing off now, and I'll see you all in the next stream.